been a tough week for us wrestling fans. Been a complicated week for wrestling fans, and just the entertainment fandom. As you heard, going off the top, it wasn't John Dawson's Ringside Heat theme. It was the 10 bell salute given to wrestlers and people who have worked in the wrestling industry, who have, gone on to that, who have died and gone into that big ring in the sky. Welcome to the show. My name is Lex Tan, host and producer of Ringside Heat. Alongside me, holding the replica of the WWF Winged Eagle Championship, Chico Nugent. You can follow him at Coco Collects, and you can follow his collection at that Instagram account where he has actually several Hogan figures in his arsenal.
Yeah, it's pinned to the profile because, of course, obvious reasons, and we'll go into it, but rest in peace to the original man who helped ignite the passion I have for professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan. So yeah, no, it was a tough week for me. I mean, he was my basically the OG in my pro wrestling fandom, and it's been quite a week trying to make sense of it and people's responses to it. And so I'm kind of glad we have a forum here to discuss, almost like talk therapy on our end,
Yeah,
or myself maybe. Who knows?
Oh, well, for sure for you, and I would also have to echo the same thing. It is also a little bit of a talk therapy for me because I was honestly like growing up Hogan in terms of I didn't see his career. The only thing that I really had was an LJN figure, his original LJN figure with the replica of the belt, the original WWF belt that he won from the Iron Sheik.
Was it green? Was it a green strap?
No, it was a black strap actually.
It was a black strap. Okay.
Black strap, but it was but it was the Iron Sheik's title basically.
Yes.
And that's the match that ignited Hulkamania, and all that. So I had that. I also had I also had a little picture book, like one side, like as a square book. One side of it was the picture of the wrestler, and then on the right side of it was text, their text bio, basically, right? So at the time, it was the WWF Superstars. I remember with the WWF Superstars logo, was Hulk Hogan was in there, Honky Tonk Man was there, Coco Beware was there in that book. I can't remember who else was, but I think Mr. Wonderful and even Roddy Piper were in there. So,
a great book.
Yeah, it was. It was, and the only thing I saw of Hulk Hogan was that. Honestly, I didn't know. I didn't because whenever I watched WWE Superstars, it never featured Hulk Hogan. It never even featured his promos.
That's so strange.
It was, and the thing is, and the thing is, yes, it was like it either was filmed in Brantford or Maple Leaf Gardens, and I know friend of the show Jimmy Corderas, who the first person I reached out to when I heard that Hogan passed was Jimmy, because I knew that he and Hogan worked together many years.
Yeah.
And Jimmy himself even said that like Hulk was a good friend and he was always good to him. It was good, it was a sad day for him too, because that's one of the people that he knew from when he was a very, very young man, just getting into the industry with a full head of hair and everything too.
Well. Yeah, no, I guess we'll just go right into it, right? Like just remembering Hulk Hogan from our perspective as fans, no?
Yeah.
For me, I don't know what the earliest thing was, but I like to attribute it to a segment he had being interviewed by Brother Love. I think if I looked up the date correctly, it was something like 1990 or 89, one of those 2 years. I thought it was 88 myself, but I was around 6 or 7 years old probably, and I was watching the interview, and it was that infamous interview where Earthquake came from behind, beat the heck out of the Hulkster, and then like took the beating all the way from the interview stage all the way up to the ring, and Earthquake beat him so bad that he did, I think, about 2 or 3 Earthquake splashes on him, and really like Hulk looked like he was worse for wear. And so as a child, kind of just getting to know this professional wrestling medium, I was devastated. I was really upset. I don't know if I got to crying. Maybe I cried more because an uncle or a family friend of ours like kind of caught me watching it in the den that I watched it in. Mm-hmm. And I was so engrossed, and I was so upset that Earthquake was beating up my hero. And then all he said was like, he just kind of gave a laughing, dismissive, and I'm sure he didn't intend any malice by it, but he said to me like, "Oh, that's not real, right?" So, and as a kid, that was the first experience I had of somebody trying to pull the rug out from under me and my enjoyment of this amazing entertainment medium. And so I cried, I think more because of that. But I was really, really upset because Earthquake was beating up my guy, and this uncle was like trying to kind of snuff out my enjoyment of it. So those memories kind of go hand in hand. But that's the earliest memory I have of professional wrestling. It involves Hulk Hogan. And so you can see, at least from my end, pro wrestling, it wouldn't be where it is in terms of my fandom for it, if not for the foundational piece of this dude who would say to, say your prayers, take your vitamins, and I come from a family that kind of has faith as a foundation. And so the say your prayers bit was immediately relatable because, that's something we do like in the house and with our family. So, it helped Hogan kind of buries anchors into me, so to speak. And I was a Hulkamaniac for quite a while, for a few years, maybe a couple years, maybe as a kid, I thought it was a lot of years, but it began to change when Brett reversed Mr. Perfect's leg drop or something into a sharpshooter and captured his first WWF Intercontinental title at SummerSlam 91. Side note, I'm kind of excited for SummerSlam 2025. So looks looking to be a good show. I think it's going to be a great card. But back to my early fandom, it really was like all about Hulk Hogan for a few years. The first definitive person that I could attribute to my fandom to. I did watch a few of those rock and wrestling cartoons.
Oh wow!
So I go pretty far back. I was born in the early '80s, so I had enough of a chance to watch a few things Hogan related. So definitely, rock and wrestling was within my sort of like cartoon repertoire as a kid. Not as much as like a He-Man or Thundercats or G.I. Joe or Transformers, but rock and wrestling was there, and it was paired with this live action medium too. So it was pretty cool. Let's see what else. There's so many things that are Hogan related that are part of my early fandom, and so really, really attached to me. So I'll go more into it in a bit.
While you're thinking of that, actually, this something you just said actually unlocked a couple of memories for me, to tell you the truth.
Oh wow, okay.
I do remember actually sharing this on the show like early on a few years ago. Was that the first time I ever watched Hulk Hogan and knew about who Hulk Hogan was, other than that picture book, was a Saturday Night's Main Event, the one that he faced off against Andre the Giant.
Oh wow! After Mania 3, right?
No, before after Mania 3, before Mania 4, when he helped Macho secure the title, basically.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about. DiBiase was in Andre's corner.
That's the one, yeah.
Financing him?
Yep, and then the evil twin of Dave Hebner, the count and everything, because I didn't know, like I really didn't know what was going on all I knew was that, okay, this guy on TV is the same thing as this action figure that I have.
Oh, wow.
That I have. And then seeing Hogan lose the belt, the belt to Andre. Right?
Yeah.
To Andre. I didn't know what to do. It's like I actually had to figure out how to. I actually was like trying to figure out how do I take the title belt off of Hogan because he doesn't wear it anymore.
Yeah. Well, even back in those days, I mean, well, I guess maybe the championship was synonymous for you with Hulk Hogan, because he was just the champ like all the time around that time.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing. I mean, like it's quite vague, really. But then that was one memory that was unlocked, and then of course, knowing that Hulk Hogan was still the big star and everything, and like his celebrity was more than wrestling, so that's how I knew about how I kept on keeping up about Hulk Hogan, but. Yeah. When he re-entered my consciousness was later on when he and Macho Man Randy Savage that I actually got to see more of because he was on WWF Superstars.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he was actually in that picture book too. And then when Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, did the whole Mega Powers thing on the Brother Love show, I remember watching that. And then not knowing what the heck went on because I don't have pay-per-view. My parents wouldn't buy me the pay-per-view at my grandma's house or anything like that. Yeah. And I didn't know very much. I wasn't catching a lot of WWE Superstars even then. But then after that, the next thing I knew was him making his way into WCW, and I'll get into that in a second.
Oh yeah, no, but let's not that
career.
Are we taking a break? Not taking a break yet?
No, I mean, if there's anything else you want to talk about in the early Hogan fandom,
right? Well, I mean, I just wanted to throw in. You were talking about how he was in more than just pro wrestling itself. I've never watched Rocky III, which I think was a huge step up for him and leading to Hulkamania being established, or at least, I mean, solidified or something.
Yes.
So I never watched that part of Thunder Lips. Maybe I will now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I watched him in some other things that came around when I was like 9 or 10 or 11 or something, where Suburban Commando was a big memory for me. I don't know why.
Right. Yes.
I watched it. I think his name was like Shep Ramsey or something. And like he came from outer space on a spaceship, little boys and spaceships and,
but not Chef Gordon Ramsay though.
Not Chef Gordon Ramsay. I could be wrong about that. Am I right? Shep Ramsey, if you like quickly Google while I ramble.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So
ramble.
Suburban Commando, I think I wore the heck out of that VHS or Laserdisc or whatever we watched it on, but it's way back. And I watched that a couple of times at least. And there were a couple of other notable names that I wouldn't really know as well until a little bit after, which would be like The Undertaker was one of the villains.
Yes.
And in the movie. And I think Jesse Ventura, I don't know if he was in there. I know that The Undertaker definitely was in there because he freaked me out on TV. And then I saw him on this movie and I got a little confused. But also I was like, okay, he really is a bad guy. And, couldn't separate truth from fiction, of course, at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And yes, his name, Shep Ramsey.
I was right.
Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd was in the movie. Let's see.
Well, he was the guy that Hogan came and helped, like his family.
Yep. Michael Faustino. I believe it's Michael Faustino. He's the twin brother of Bud Bundy on Married with Children, David Faustino.
Oh, okay. Cool. It's definitely Suburban Commando was a big one for me. I mean, I'm pretty sure I also watched Mr. Nanny on Laserdisc.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Sorry, I don't know why it's making me laugh because I can barely remember it. It's just like a funny memory of Hogan in a tutu. Mm-hmm. Long before Dwayne Johnson was a tooth fairy. So, it's a similar vein, I think,
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, just kind of funny how that worked out. But, so I saw Hogan in a few things. And then I watched Thunder in Paradise, which is a TV show. I think that's the one he might have been filming when he was on his way out or out of the WWF and about to be visited by Eric Bischoff while he was filming Thunder in Paradise to invite him to go to WCW.
Yep, 1994.
Yeah, I
That was
think yeah. So I did watch that show, cheesy as heck, of course. And I saw that Hogan was on Baywatch as well. I kind of barely remember that one, but for some reason, the one that really stuck out was Suburban Commando of all things.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah,
I remember one line from that because it was on the trailers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze
oh
VHS.
my gosh.
And it's that scene where it's that scene where he like messes up some guy's car or something like that.
Yes.
And they look like these rough and tumble dudes, whatever like
Yeah.
that. And it's like do you know what we're gonna do to you? Yeah, you're gonna pound my face in, brother. And it's like, nah, man, this is the '90s. We're gonna sue you.
That's right. That's right.
That's the only line I remember from that film because I never watched it. It was just always on but I always loved watching the trailer because TMNT2 was also was the main event, right? So
Yeah, and so again, Hogan being part of my really early fandom, a lot of my memories have to do with the promos that Hogan would cut.
Mhm.
And it's promos for Survivor Series teams, promos for being in the Royal Rumble, obviously like a promo against Earthquake, just like a lot of those late 80s kind of stuff when he was like a household name or became a household name by then.
Mhm.
And it was, I think, right around that time, basically, is when pro wrestling became like a global phenomenon. And
Yes.
it would not have happened without, I will say, Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's very true. You can't. It's hard to separate the success of professional wrestling as a global phenomenon from those two particular names, no matter how controversial that you want that, or that some people may think that they may be. And yes, definitely, and there definitely controversy does follow both of those guys. But
and I will go on record and say that I cannot stand by the words that were caught on tape. He got caught saying stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll never say that that's behavior that's a good thing or a positive thing. Definitely negative, but at the same time,
and the actions that preceded that as well. So
sure, yeah, I'll agree with that too. I will just say that he was a human being, and all of us are prone to mistakes. And so but I think, just by my measure, plus the guy just died, I think it's about just honoring the good things that the man did, because he was before John Cena, I think Hulk Hogan was one of the more preeminent Make-A-Wish people, granted wishes to kids. He loved doing that stuff from all accounts that I've heard. And he really was trying his best to be a positive role model, and he did so much for the industry. And honestly, we've heard it all week long. I think most people who are insiders in the business and who actually know what they're talking about, not the know-it-alls who know nothing at all, people have credited him for the boom of the business initially, and with pro wrestling and how it became a global phenomenon, and WWF and Hulk Hogan, becoming household names, like a lot of that was on the shoulders, the 24-inch pythons of Hulk Hogan. So I think I'm going to say the cliche that I've heard all week: pro wrestling wouldn't be where it is today without Hulk Hogan.
Exactly. And concerning the actions that were caught on tape, on video, it was it was a apparently now that we have all the information about it, it was a setup. Like he was set up by Gawker Media and Bubba the Love Sponge, radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge, and Bubba's wife, the woman that was involved in that tape. It was and so it was a setup. It was and apparently eventually after oh my gosh, 4 years of lawsuits back and forth between both parties, Gawker ended up settling and paying Hulk Hogan $31 million in a settlement.
Yeah, well, that leads me to, even further, just say like screw all the noise. Hulk Hogan was one of the GOATs.
Yeah, and yes, again, his actions then were basically, it ain't cool. It wasn't cool what was caught on tape.
Yeah.
But the fact that somebody set him up for that to happen, people set him up for him to fail in that sort of way.
Not cool either.
It's not. Everybody's at fault, so it's like, we're all flawed human beings at the end of the day. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of us humans, and furthermore, that we have to make sure that we reserve our judgments and reserve the horrible things that have been said about Hogan literally hours, minutes after he was pronounced and announced to the world that he was no longer with us. But for now, I'd say that's going to be the last thing that we're going to say in terms of the negative side of Hulk Hogan and all that, because that happened later on in his career. However, what we can do is we're going to take a break, reset, and we will go into what you and I may remember about his WCW days, and then his later run in the WWE, and his involvement with Eric Bischoff, TNA Wrestling, etc., and we'll see, and we'll see what happens from there. We're doing a little deep dive into the career of Hulk Hogan, and then in honor of the very first mega superstar of wrestling. All the music here, all the intro and outro music that you'll be hearing is going to be either Rock House by Frank Shelley, Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, or Real American by Rick Derringer.
Did you have room for American Made? Because his WCW red and yellow theme was a banger.
Yeah, I'll put that. Yeah, I'll put that in as well too. And hey, you know what? Just got to list it on the SoCan on my SoCan quote at the end of the month. So. Ringside Heat. We'll be back after these promotional considerations. And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM, Lextan at Lextan Media, at Ringside_Heat is where you can follow the show on all of our social media platforms. Alongside me is Chico Nugget at Coco Collects, where you can follow him. And we are doing a dive into our memories of Terry Gene Bollea Hulk Hogan. He was born August the 11th, 1953, and
in Augusta, Georgia. Shout out to our friend of the show and my cousin RV Sanchez, who used to live in Augusta, Georgia.
And then he left us as well, and he left us on July the 24th, this year, in Clearwater, Florida. He was married to Linda Claridge, who we've known for years as Linda Hogan. Jennifer McDaniel, he was only married to her for a year, and the woman that and his wife before he passed was a woman named Sky Daly, and who unfortunately is a widow now, and in very much mourning, as they've only had about a couple of years of married life together. Brooke and Nick Hogan were his children with Linda, and Horace Hogan was his nephew. And
what a name to bring up, man.
Yeah, he was billed at 6'7", billed at 302 pounds at the height, or at the height of his career. Basically, he was billed from either Hollywood, Los Angeles as Hollywood Hogan, Venice Beach, California as Hulk Hogan,
That's
and
the one I knew.
And Washington D.C. as Mr. America.
Shh! Don't tell them it's him.
El Grande Americano, anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Oh
So-
my goodness.
And he was trained. He was like the person that trained him in professional wrestling was Hiro Matsuda.
That's right.
I was very, very much surprised to know that he wasn't Mr. Five Moves of Doom before John Cena figured that out in WWE, but he was an actual very, very good wrestler, and a lot of the wrestlers out there who've worked with him will be able to tell you, well, except for maybe the Undertaker, that Hulk Hogan was a very capable wrestler in all senses of the term. Maybe not as a lucha libre, but like, for a 6'7" dude, he was a very, very good wrestler, someone who could hang with the Japanese wrestlers at the time, and he even captured the IWGP Championship one time when he was doing his run with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I think he beat Kenji Muto for it, who I forget what his name was in the late 80s, early 90s or something. I think it was Kenji something.
Mm-hmm.
I confess I'm not really like a way back fan of All Japan or New Japan or whatever it was. But yeah, Hogan really wanted that IWGP World title. And when he had left the WWF before he went to WCW, he was even saying, he pointed to this Winged Eagle Championship and saying that the WWF Championship was like a toy compared to the IWGP Championship that he wanted. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize he said that about the title that I value most as a fan.
He robbed Van Dam. He robbed Van Dam the WWE title before Rob Van Dam did it.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't spinning yet at the time.
That's true.
Yeah. No, so I mean, Hogan, I was a little conflicted at WrestleMania 9, by the way, just to go back to a little bit of that early 90s thing, because I was becoming a huge Bret Hart fan, and he, of course, had the title going into Caesar's Palace, or whatever. That was Caesar's Palace, right? Vegas, WrestleMania 9? Yes.
WrestleMania 9, yes.
Yeah, that's right, in the parking lot of Caesar's.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, there's a whole special about it, guys. Netflix. I was upset because, well, I hadn't seen him in a while, but also, or not upset, but I was just conflicted because, again, I was becoming a Bret Hart fan, like I said, since SummerSlam 91, and he had the title going to WrestleMania 9 against Yokozuna, and, Mr. Fuji tossed salt in Bret's eye, and Yoko rolled him up, new champ, but then here comes black-eyed Hogan, and again, part of the WrestleMania 9 behind the scenes special that you got to check out because it's fun. They explained that whole thing, why he had a black eye when, turns out he was concussed and he really shouldn't have wrestled on WrestleMania 9, but that's the early 90s for you. And early pro wrestling, there was no concussion protocol yet. But then as a kid, like before Bret, Hogan was my hero. So Hogan came back to make the save for my, like, at the time, current, like, dude, cheering for Bret and everything. And Bret even, like, physically, as part of the show, gave his endorsement to go get Yokozuna, because Mr. Fuji was bold enough to tell Hogan, like, my Yokozuna, after, like, 128 seconds of having the championship only, my Yokozuna can beat you. We'll put up the title right now. You challenge him right now. So then Bret kind of like half blindly gave his approval for Hogan to go get the championship from Yoko, and he did, of course. So it was a fun moment, a fun twist. So it was one of my first like twist endings that I experienced as a young wrestling fan. So again, Hogan related. So that was WWF Championship number 5. Of course, he would kind of soon lose it back to Yoko at King of the Ring 93, where my new favorite Bret Hart won King of the Ring. So it was a very strange, like, mixed emotions kind of thing, because I'm like, oh, Hogan's gone, but yay, Bret, King of the Ring. So the transition was happening for me, and Bret is now my all-time favorite, but I can never forget the impact of Hogan. Ever.
Exactly, and so here you have you have Hogan making an impact on you as you watched actual things that Hulk Hogan did while it was happening in kind of sort of in quote unquote real time, right?
Yeah.
Where the real time finally happened for me was when my parents were able to get one of those pay-per-view box scramblers for the cable.
Okay.
And and I had heard that, and because thanks to TBS Superstation back in the day that we were able to get, I found I found this program. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I saw Mean Gene. And I'm just like, why is what Mean Gene is this? This doesn't look like WWF.
No.
Mean Gene and announcing that Hulk Hogan was coming back to wrestling, and his first match in whatever this company this was. Later on, I would learn it was WCW, thanks to TBS, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That his first match back with in professional wrestling after leaving the WWF was against the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and because I'd never watched Hogan before, I finally got a chance to finally watch Hogan do something in real time, as opposed to as opposed to getting clips from WWF superstars.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that. I was excited to see that to see that match, and it actually brought me awareness of who Ric Flair was. He was Ric Flair was, and what WCW was, and I was that was the first time I was ever excited, really, really excited to watch a pay-per-view.
Mm.
I didn't pay for it, neither did my parents, but hey, I learned who Ric Flair was, and I actually wanted Hulk Hogan to win. I actually made sure that I had done my homework. I had nothing to do on that Saturday night, so I could sit in front of the TV and watch a Hulk Hogan wrestling match.
Wow. No, I never watched that match, at least not in real time back then. I guess maybe I'll watch it. We never did get that match on a WrestleMania per se. We did get it on a Monday Night Raw, but
yes.
I mean,
which I also regret not going to. Oh my God!
Yeah, it was in Toronto.
I gotta talk about that later.
Yeah. So no. So in terms of Hogan, I guess we're going to the WCW part of things. I really didn't think much of WCW because it just looks so ghetto to me compared to WWF.
Right.
So the only time I really started watching more of Nitro and things was when Bret Hart got screwed by Vince McMahon. No, Vince. Bret did not screw Bret. You definitely still screwed Bret. Mm-hmm. But sorry.
Well, he also kayfabe admitted it. So
yes. So, of course, that whole ball of cheese. So that's not the expression. Anyway. So yeah, Bret went to WCW, obviously, and he debuted at the Starrcade event in '97, which was supposed to be Sting's big moment of triumph, but it just ended up so flat. But anyway, Hogan's associated with that memory too. The first pay-per-view I really paid attention to of WCW was Hogan was in the main event, trying to put Sting over. But of course, one of my least favorite referees ever, Nick Patrick, who was supposed to do a fast count, instead made it a regular speed count. And so the point of having Bret Hart come in as a special enforcer for his debut just kind of disappeared. It just looked awkward. So, that whole thing was not good. But so yeah, Hollywood Hogan was, if not for Hogan, we wouldn't have some of the highest selling merchandise ever in professional wrestling. I had to get me an NWO shirt eventually. So I did. And it's just one of the coolest pieces of wrestling merch ever. That and the Hulkamania shirts and things like that. So, yeah. And I didn't think so highly of WCW. So the Hogan stuff that I watched in WCW, it just felt like an old dinosaur in a place with a bunch of dinosaurs.
Right, exactly. But here's the thing, though. if not for that WCW run, I would not be a wrestling fan, and not
True.
because I watched WCW. It's because of The Rock and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania X8. And I remember this. You and I watched that match over at our buddy Joel's house, and God rest his soul. We still your Joel's memory is still a blessing and is still eternal. But that's one of the I think that's one of the last memories I have with Joel. And I will always cherish with him is that we all were cramped into that little itty bitty room on a small TV, watching Hulk Hogan and The Rock just absolutely tear the dome off the Rogers Center. So
I would say that, like, if somebody picked that as the greatest WrestleMania match ever, I wouldn't necessarily agree with him, but it's probably in my top 3, maybe top 2. I don't think it's my number 1. That belongs to Undertaker and Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25. That's my ranking. But you cannot deny, in terms of mega stardom and just like the biggest, loudest pops, it's got to be neck and neck between Icon versus Icon, Hogan versus Rock, and Hogan versus Andre. Body slam heard around the world. Got to be those two.
And here's the thing as well, is that with now and with the Rock and Hulk Hogan talking about their mindsets in that match years after it happened, just very recently on social media, I now look back and go back to that match and watch it, and then take into mind what they did in that match, and I learned something more about wrestling psychology and the way they handled themselves and the way that I would call a match and everything in that moment, because and calling matches in just in general, because of how what's the word, the mental game of that match is something that I never saw being so deep the way it is, and and it makes me love that match even more. And I would put that as my 1A to Shawn Michaels Taker 1 as my 1B, personally speaking, because because I'm learning more and more from just watching that, from watching their matches, just those matches, really, about the psychology of wrestling. And I can't think Undertaker. Sorry, I can't take Hogan and Rock for any more for that, honestly.
Yeah. So you take out the moves of wrestling, and it's a show, right? Mm-hmm. It's a show. I would never use the F word to describe it, that word being fake, because that's what the ignorant people tend to label it with all the time. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like the showmanship of it, there was no greater person to do it than Hulk Hogan. All right. Now, some people may pick Rock over that and all that, but Hogan he took what superstar Billy Graham did. He took what Jesse Ventura did, and he just like rewrote the book, and he took it to a whole nother level. I know there are people that Hogan himself would credit, and I guess I could do a deeper dive into that of what his sort of secret sauce was, what he combined for his success. But he was the one who really brought it into the stratosphere. Like it propelled the industry, and that is precisely why his era of success, Hulkamania, was kind of labeled the golden era for a lot of people, because it was the breakthrough, the one that truly took it global.
Yes, exactly. I became a wrestling fan myself, like a permanent wrestling fan, during the time when Hogan did, Toronto brings back Hulkamania, and and it and that led off, like, I guess you could say, the quote unquote tail end of the Attitude Era, going into Ruthless Aggression, because he was not only the first person to wear the WWF Winged Eagle Championship, but he was also the last person to be considered WWF under those initials, champion. He was also the he was also the last to hold the World Wrestling Federation undisputed championship belt after winning it from Triple H at WWF Backlash after WrestleMania X8, and then winning the tag team championships later that year with Edge as well. That was insane. Now, one of my favorite, actually, I'll go back. We'll have to take a break over here, but I'm going to go into a quick, funny memory, two quick, funny memories about Hulk Hogan that I had in that era of my wrestling fandom. And we'll be back after these promotional considerations. Welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM, remembering the immortal Hulk Hogan who left us on July the 24th, 2025, one of the greatest professional wrestlers to have ever graced the wrestling ring and also the world stage. I'm Lex Tan, alongside me, Chico Nugid, and I wanted to share three memories of Hulk Hogan that one of them was a FOMO thing. Well, actually, just a Mo thing, but
hey, hold on. One of them Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain, where Hulk Hogan was the villain?
I had no idea what to.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, man. Catch a VHS or something.
Wow. If I even have one of those, I don't even have a VHS player myself. Jeez, man.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the first memory that I will always love to watching on TV, but regret never seeing it. I didn't get a chance. I didn't buy a ticket. I could have, but I didn't buy a ticket to the Go Home Raw before WWF Judgment Day, or WWE Judgment Day rather, when Undertaker beat Hogan, but he tied Hogan to his bike and dragged him all around the Air Canada Center. But before that, he put on the final match in the WWE between him and Ric Flair. It was Ric Flair as the 50% or the owner of Raw, putting himself in a title match against Hulk Hogan, the undisputed champion at the time, and no DQ and everything. Great 12-minute segment good wrestling between. I rewatched it. Really good wrestling by two dudes who were in their 50s at that point. Mm-hmm. And in comes the NWO, and then in comes JBL as Bradshaw sliding into the ring. I'm just like, wow, this guy actually could move like that, really? And then Stone Cold Steve Austin helps Hogan end it by stunning Ric Flair before he's able to put him in the figure four leg lock. Drops the leg on Ric Flair, does Hulk Hogan 1, 2, 3, and the crowd goes nuts. Second one was his outtake with Vince McMahon, where he screwed up his lines and called Vince McMahon or called himself the right guy in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah,
and then calls Vince McMahon or calls himself the right gay guy.
Yeah, Hogan was just flubbing that night. It was so funny.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to go for another backstage promo.
Which ones?
One of my favorites that involved Hogan was after his comeback, before Red and Yellow came back, and he had become a good guy.
Yes,
he'd become a good guy after WrestleMania X8 in Toronto, and he was on SmackDown, and backstage he was hanging out with The Rock and the Big Red Machine, Kane. And they were preparing for a match against the NWO, who had just betrayed Hollywood Hogan. And it was just so funny because we got a Kane impression of Hulk Hogan. We got, Kane just going crazy, and it helped transition Hogan back to the Red and Yellow, obviously.
Yes.
But that was such a funny sketch and just gave Kane so much more of an entertainment kind of shine. And
I became a Canaanite that day.
You became a Canaanite that day. Yes, exactly. And it was so good. Everything was so well done, from like The Rock and Hogan's reactions to Kane, to Jerry Lawler's reaction on commentary,
Yep.
and even Jerry Lawler's reaction on commentary being lip synced by The Rock accidentally. So, I mean, it was just like so many little details, and that was just such a great promo. I've watched that backstage promo so many times, man, so many times, and that's also built on the legacy of the mystique and the fame of Hulk Hogan. So
right,
there you go.
And the other memory I have is, I believe you and I actually share this memory.
Yeah.
We went to Saturday Night's Main Event when it was held here in Toronto back in the back during those times, and it was Hulk Hogan as Mr. America in an arm wrestling match with Vince McMahon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which he basically like chickened out of, and then put Bobby Lashley in his place. So
oh yes, wow. Well, one of the memories was what that you and I share also about Hulk Hogan is probably the closest in proximity I ever got to him. And he was promoting his new at the time autobiography, under the WWF, which he had just come back to, or maybe it was WWE by that time, because it was like December 2002.
No, it was 2000. No, it was this. It was December. Yes,
yeah,
you're right.
It was
December of
2002. Yeah, so
2002.
I think
yes,
the WWE was already under those initials, but people were still kind of getting used to it. Anyway, that's like besides the point. Basically, he was releasing his autobiography that was under the World Wrestling Federation, or WWE, and he did a media opportunity, I guess you could call it, press conference type thing. Book signing. Oh yeah, it was a book signing, and it was at the Scotiabank Theatre, formerly the Paramount Theatre in downtown Toronto. So we attended it, and he answered some questions for the crowd. We unfortunately didn't buy any like VIP stuff, so we couldn't actually get our book signed, but we were pretty close. You know, we were like 10, 12 rows away from his face.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Toronto was fully like still in the whole Hulkamania thing. He mentioned he mentioned that he wanted to thank The Rock for the match at WrestleMania, and everybody just like just booed The Rock, like he wasn't even in the building. They just booed him and just Rocky sucks and everything. And so it's like that. Oh my god, I got to see Rocky sucks with Hogan.
Yeah, no. So that was the closest I would ever get to him, proximity wise. I think same for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about as close as I got to him. And so I guess a wrestling regret of mine is that I never got to meet the man like face to face, and never got to get his autograph on anything. So that, that's kind of a bummer that I thought of the last week. But he definitely imprinted on my heart as a wrestling fan and as an entertainment fan. Yeah. And just, it feels so surreal still for me, because he was just a part of life, and that's weird. It's a weird feeling that he's gone. I mean, it dawned on me that people like Ric Flair and Jake the Snake, who I thought definitely would pass away before Hulk. Sorry to say, it's a weird thought, but I just thought like, wow, they outlived Hulk Hogan.
They did. Yeah.
It's quite strange. I mean, my heart goes out to Nate as well, because turns out in real life, they're real good buddies. So, I mean, he lost his friend, one of his close ones. And, his reaction that day was really heartbreaking.
It was,
like he really poured himself out on like TMZ and other things. So, condolences to all who really, really, truly knew him. And by the accounts of those people, he was a good dude. I also one of my last thoughts as well to share is that I thought what a waste. Like he had recently, sort of discovered faith in his life again. Like in the last few years, I watched like his sort of long form interview that you can see on YouTube, talking to a pastor about his sort of reversion, I guess, back into Christianity. So I believe that he truly was right with God at the time of his passing. So that kind of comforts me in terms of being a person of faith and being able to relate with that struggle of faith. I'm glad that the Hulkster was, actually saying his prayers by the time he, the end of his life came. The end of his life came.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've run out of time. I guess there's so much more that we could share about Hulk Hogan, and we'll probably do that in the coming weeks or something like that as more memories pop up and everything. But we do have to we do have to get off the air now, unfortunately. But what I will say is that so again, condolences and prayers to Hogan, his family, his friends, Hogan's family and his friends, and for Hulk Hogan, as a Catholic, I do want to say I do want to pray the prayer of repose. Eternal rest grant unto Hulk Hogan. Terry Jean Bollea, Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace, and may his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace, and may his memory be a blessing.